using the React components. Like we see a lot of React components in your app. So those are mostly dumb components like props, and then they will render based on those props. Might have some click handlers attached to it, but nothing more than that. Some might be connected to your store, Redux store, and based on state changes, it will update. So isolated components are not just dumb components, and they are not also your sub apps like small apps. This is like kind of middle, like that is like a middle way trying to find. So at housing, we find this term like isolated components as a black box, and we just go through one. So we moved our backbone architecture to React. React.js, but we started gradually. Like we just moved our homepage to React first, then we pushed list page in a while, and then so on. So initially things were good, but when you start moving the whole entire app to React.js, like you will see a lot of components, something like this. Since React.js everything is component. So now then it becomes difficult for you to analyze the dependency graph. Which component depend on what, and when you start maintaining these things, changing some component, they'll have different implications on some other components. Though we call it a dumb component or a pure component that they just operate on fast and props, but then obviously you will be connected to some other component. It will be rendering under some other underlying component. So in housing, we have a different reports. Like we have a mobile website different and desktop website is different. Both are in React, but what happens is if you are developing a certain feature, the feature is same for desktop as well as mobile. Might be the viewing part is different. Like for desktop, you show it in a different way. For example, login. So the login modal which you open in desktop, same modal comes in mobile, but you will show it in a different. But the underlying business logic remains same. The way user will get logged in, the way, for example, user has to log in up to phone, entering his phone. So the phone number you enter, then OTP flow comes, and stuff like that. So isolated components takes care of these things. They are not just dumb components; they take care of your business use cases as well. So yeah, same like we got rid of the dumb React components and we started creating NPM models. So what we did is started building it in a React story. This is a component. This is the contact form which comes on housing. And some user try to contact to a particular agent. It pops up like this. Now the same contact form comes in mobile as well. This is a mobile website. Slow network. I connected to mobile data. So it's the same. Maybe the way you show title and things are different, but the actual business use case remains the same. The way user will go through. So components as a black box for recipe. So this component will just go through the entire flow of this component. Somebody tries to click, you have to fill these details. Slowly go.
I think so you want you connect your Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi you have. Yeah. How are you connecting Geo or
So it's Vodafone. So by the time we get Wi-Fi connection, so most of the components are being built like this, which are isolated components. And so basically, what will come after this is OTP stream. Then you have different flows like somebody enters wrong OTP, OTP limit is exceeded, and once you successfully register, like with your phone number, you get, I mean, you auto log in. This is the entire business use case is being handled by this component. So we have a different places where we wanted to show these CRF forms, like you can see here, then comes here, then in buy you get it in line as well. So we just use one component and we include it like this. So you just pass in these params like the way you use normally a component, and then after this it takes care of executing entire your use case, like entire your business logic, how to log into user, verifying OTP and stuff like that. So what we have realized is people mostly over engineering things when they start building their companies. Like from the days they start building component, they will think like this will be used somewhere else. I should uh, expose.
if you're going to show everybody, there's a problem.
Fine, I'll click show password. So, yeah. So you user need to verify this number. Obviously, I entered wrong number. So I can just click on resend. I can go to edit the valid number, post it to, and I'm done. This entire use case is being covered by this component, and this component works on its own. I mean, it's not a application. It's just a component, which is an NPM model, and we just include it in a package JSON like this. You could see this much, and in your component wherever you want to render, you just include your component. So then, most of the cases like showing OTP, when to show OTP, when to show success screen, when to show error messages, all have been encapsulated in this particular component. So all these dumb components, I mean static components which just operate some prompts, can be under this CRF. All right, so decoupling things. So I was talking about like people mostly over engineer things when building components. They think, yeah, I should export this option, that option, but it's better to just go ahead with what it is, and the moment you feel you need to use it somewhere else as well, then you go and make it as a separate component and expose it in a way that it can be used both ways. So things like this, we made CR form and then realized these input boxes like it contains the basic validations. This can be a separate component. So we took out this as a component again, and we included that in this particular model. So
How do
yeah,
you put that when you put that screen? How do you say okay, it is like a mandatory field out here? With the
so I tried to submit first. Once I start putting,
So is there a UX stimuli that tells us, okay, this is a magnetic field. This can go forward.
yeah, I mean,
We'll see. So it's only the red part. I mean, what do you get? Like the is it outline in red? That's what he shows it, or that's what is the present input is taking. He's searching the present.
no, I didn't get that.
See, right now I'm looking here, and how do I know that these fields are like the magnetic fields?
Ah, that is very correct. That's a more of an UX, more of an UX quality. I mean, we don't like the traditional approach of showing star and all.
Okay.
No,
No, because
just
this
three,
type
when
is
you
a
have very
texture
lot of
now.
forms, then you have to keep track of what needs to be built. Just for 3 fields, it's
Okay.
so yeah, we are using React Storybook. They are also called React Isolate, which helps you out in writing such components. And it actually decouples your system because since you're building it in an isolated environment, you cannot import files from your application. So it's like you have to build everything around. And the moment you realize you have to import something, then you need to make it as a again a different isolated component. So that's the benefit of building it in a storybook. And we have different use case as well, like these different forms. So this is just one component, but rendering it in a different way based on passing parameters.
We just
Yeah.
borrow. One borrow. And see VS Code for in a VS Code मध्ये. बस.
So as I mentioned, so it's once you build this, it's as easy as just passing parameters, and then you don't have to worry about whether it will work or not, whether it's buggy or. The most foolish part about this is maintenance and changing things. Like suppose somewhere you want to show star ratings here for particular agent. So I just go in this component and put the star rating over here, and it reflects in desktop as well as mobile. So the same component it will reflect in desktop as well as mobile. So this is pretty much. What about Redux store? Like we have a one Redux store for entire app. Since we are building this component in isolation, whether you share same data, whether you share same state or same store, no. So we are using a completely independent store for this. We are not relying on combined releases. Uh, these components works on their own, like they have their own actions, they have their own reducers, own data set, and so yeah, it's actually decoupled. So how do you do that? So there are different ways.
So do you use it in conjunction with other components?
This one, yes.
Do you
So
use like components in conjunction with other components?
so things like login, right? So we have a login. So if you see, login also our isolated component. It's log out. So sign in this itself is a isolated component now. So what happens is we have a CRF contact form and we have a login. Now once somebody successfully fills contact form, he should be auto login. So this exposes a function like on successful submission, I'll say to you, okay, successful submission is done. And in your app, you come to know okay, successful submission is done. Then that your main app will call your login component. Okay, successful component, you do your job now to log in. So nothing is shared between those two components.
So the iris calls the isolated components. And there's no way to communicate from the isolated component to the main.
No, if you want something like once somebody contacts, we want to show this. These are the contacted properties for you. This CRF component will tell you that okay, this particular property has been contacted. Now it's your app's responsibility whether to store that in your backend or in local storage.
How will it tell the app?
Just pass the callback. Callback once. So yeah, it's pretty much. So yeah, we have a different store as well, original component. Dan a month back posted something on Twitter, so maybe you can have a look.
Oh,
I'll just share a link with another application. So he's also doing the same thing again. Like here are some apps. Then this main app is connected to a main store, and then you have different sub apps connected to different store. So you don't interact with your own apps. Now this is pretty much about isolated components. Anything on this?
So, do you not like mock the store in the story? For example, you said that the login state demand is international. Right? So, do you mock the store in your whenever you're running your company in your story, or do you like pass
Yeah,
it
we do mock. We do mock it like so we don't pass store as in so that component itself creates its own store in construct as I showed you just now. In construct itself you create your own store.
Okay, so do you mean to say when you integrate this into your app, every component will have its own particular
Yes,
store?
yes,
I
yes.
mean, that's like very counterintuitive. Right? I mean, that's not like recommended.
That's what combined reducer, but we don't want to share data since it's an independent component. It's not so we just wanted to plug it in a way and not completely connected with your app. So we don't want it to share data. We don't want it the things which your main app needs that is been exposed and not the other things.
So if you look at the dev tools on your main website, your integrated website, you will see multiple stores for each.
You won't be able to see stores for this.
Okay, because this is
Yeah.
encapsulated.
Obviously, Redux store will just show you one single store. Redux store itself, I mean, doesn't support
So
multiple
how do
stores.
you hydrate this tool in the beginning? I mean, how do you like bring initial state into this?
So the way Redux works, this our component have a wrap component which has its own state, and then it's a simple code. The store connect. It's a simple component which you take a component and wrap it around the state and pass it, and it just works fine.
So your storybook definitions will be like main components. So no wrapper, no
No
problem.
wrapper, nothing. So we have a automated UI test to test this entire integrated flow. So I'll just cover that in this section.
So the main purpose is to abstract common functionality between the mobile website and the desktop.
Yeah, could be. And also, it's more of handling your business use cases rather than just dumb components. Usually, you just write components which are static, as in they just run on props, but they don't know much about your use.
So
And that's the reason it
so those
helps
are
you
also
out
dumb
in mobile
components.
and desktop.
So those are dumb components. So additionally, how do you like do the dependency graph? So इसके package.json will put the input component.
Exactly. So we just include it like this. So if you see in so this is a main app. The main app we just include this share component, and in Sierra we will have that input box dependency. So if you see here dependency, there it is. Yeah, input box. Anything else? All right. So we'll move on to automated UI test. Uh, we are using WebDriver. So we initially thought of having a traditional Selenium with Java, but the things were getting messy because the selectors are you have to write entire XPath and all to perform your automated UI test. So we thought of doing WebDriver add. So I'll just run it once and then I'll jump on to code. This simple validation test because I don't want to waste time.
Testing.
Yeah. So you just open the web page, then you open CRF, spelling details. That's it. So one test is passing. So we have entire flows automated like this. So CRF, if somebody is not filling this, what is happening, then whether you are getting OTP state or not, if it's the new number, whether user is filling incorrect OTP and each and every case. Then after CRF, whether user is auto login or not. So it's pretty simple. I mean, writing it in JavaScript. So you get web direct through this browser object. So we just organize it in this way because we want to run those CRFs on multiple pages. It's not just at one place you want test. So we describe that should ask for enter your number, the simple test. And we say CRF page dot open and then CRF page dot fill CRF with the empty phone number. Submit it and check whether error message is asking for enter a valid phone number or not. And it's a simple assert, so true returns and passes your test cases. Now CRF page is pretty simple, your JavaScript class. You return a selector. Now the good thing about these selectors is it's using uh, WebDriver itself is using CZ. So the selectors are not like your X file, you can directly use it as like your JQuery selectors. So this is a submit button I say and fill CRF I just enter this name, phone and email and I just say submit CRF will submit CRF. So the reason of organizing it in this way is anywhere in a if you have a different use cases for test, like not just opening and filling a CRF form, but directly if somebody is clicking on contact and clicking, so you can just use this function and run it in a loop. So just an encapsulation again, and yeah, that is it.
One question.
Yeah,
So we will also test a user login,
yeah.
like the entire flow, like it
Yes.
actually goes through the like backend and stuff.
No. So backend it cannot. It's a UI testing.
So okay.
We can, but we can do the hack. Like we can make a network call here, but for that we'll have to expose an API again just to verify whether
So when
particular
you say,
data got saved or not.
right, so when you say it's UI testing, so that's not actually like bound to any like, network calls.
Network
There's
is
some
not
sort of
a
like
network.
above there or something.
No.
Network calls do happen, but like you don't test on the server that there catch that this person got logged.
Whether database updated or
But
not.
we
it's just-
You don't check, but that call does happen.
It actually
So
happens.
yeah, so network response we check.
Right. Like, do you not use the same like environment? No, but actually, do you do any testing on production or is it all
Some
on?
testing of person, there is some like
How do you avoid like so generating like lots of like noisy data? So if you're doing any kind of test on your production environment, how do you avoid creating a lot of like
So
noise,
there are
you know,
many strategies like if you see you're filling lots of CRF forms. If your email ID is starting with housing.com.
okay, so you have actually
Yeah.
put those checks.
So
Mostly we do these kind of tests on staging database, not on production.
What's a test framework basically? Mocha and
WebDriver.
anything like stubbing, Synon.
We don't want because it takes care of all your clicks and all. So Synon we don't need for because it's not a function, it's complete a UI test, not a component level. It's an integration test.
Staging of ideas of XCSD, or like you don't actually need to the browser.
Browser? Yeah. As of now we have a hack like we are running a VNC.
But you can use
Yeah.
XCSD or something like that.
We also have a Chrome headless.
Or nightmare. That's a good one.
Yeah. So that was more about automated UI test. And so this is like test cancels come in coined by Martin Fowler. So what happens is you write tests and when you release a feature, but then you start ignoring it later in the stage. So since development is bit faster in real world, it's like you start to ignore tests and just start pushing your code. And because of that, then your whatever test you wrote, you have to dump somewhere or you have to start ignoring. So just to avoid that, whatever test we run just now, like this test is passing, it will publish on your PR. This is just 4 minutes ago. We start publishing it on a PR. so that even if one test is failing, so you have to make sure either you fix the test cases or you fix your code, and then only your PR will get merged.
Wait, why do you have to add? So isn't it like automatically added as a comment in the PR?
Yes.
Can't you do something like a git integration, like
Yeah,
GitHub integration?
when you run test level, it automatically goes to our server and will pull a particular branch. This is just for demo purpose, I'm showing. So it takes certain parameters like which PR you want to test, where you want to test,
Where is it?
staging or your local machine or where exactly, and then based on that, it will publish either on PR or if you're not testing that PR, it will create an issue and assign it to one of the queues.
No, so what I mean is, okay, you know how you can like have this thing where say if you're using something like Travis or Circle or something like that. So like you can actually like install like a GitHub plugin of some sort, I guess, where like after that specific commit in the PR, you have that little thing that shows like there's green or yellow or
Yeah, there's a webhook there. You can Husky is there. All the stuff are there.
yeah. So like, why do you go with the approach of like
Because
an
people
adding
keep
comments
putting
or
it in a PR and we don't want each time to run those tests. It's like when I'm ready with my PR, like okay, I want to test now. Then people go and
so they have to like actually like
they just have to
initiate the
put a
test.
run label.
Okay, so
Run
it's
test
not
label.
fully like on every commit it runs or nothing like that.
Not on every commit. Not on every commit. What we're trying to do now is on master, whenever something gets merged in master, then we'll just like a normal CI tool, like take and run tests and
What kind of CI tool do you use?
Jenkins.
Full Jenkins server.
So that's that's all.
Any questions? Hey, thanks. Okay, Siddharth, you're up now.